Okay, what do we have here?
This is the machine shop that I had in Enfield, and these are the shoes, pictures of the shoes that we were assembling at the time. And this is some other work that we were doing at that location. This is a hydrazine rocket model, feasibility study model that we built for Hamilton. And this is a shoe or head molds.
Head molds. What kind of wood is that?
That's mahogany.
Mahogany.
That's mahogany.
Pretty.
These are very close tolerance molds made for the Natick labs for the headgear for the Army. And
this is interesting.
The shoes. This is Conrad's shoe right here. That particular shoe is Conrad's shoe. And these are the assembly of the cleats and the shoes. And this is a picture while we were assembling them at Jamarco in Enfield.
And that guy was a part-time...
Yeah, he's a part-time employee. And this is an experimental glove that we made for B. Wilson and Company.
You remember what the program was on that?
No, I don't know what the program was. This was a glove that was going to be used on picking up rocks on the moon. This was for the moon shot.
Wow.
But this is a heat exchanger here. The water runs through these so we can... the rocks were 240 degrees, so they had to have some cooling thing in them. That's all the pictures I have in this book, but I wanted to bring these along, show you that I did have those.
Super. Let's see what you have over here.
These are the...
You're going to have to explain what everything is. So
these are dummy oxygen connectors, suit connectors, dummy suit connectors. This is a model of an isolation valve for Skylab. That was a model of it. And these are the zippers that was used in the suit. This is an experimental helmet latch mechanism.
What do you mean by experimental? It was not used at all?
It was not used, no. This was just one of the things that was left over in the experimental latching air seal device. It was not used, no, but there's another piece in here someplace. Here it is. This piece here went over here like this.
Okay.
This was not finished, but this was one of my designs that I had I never got the go-ahead to finish it. These are dummy connectors that were used on the suit. This is tooling that was used to manufacture these cleats.
Okay.
And this is the cleat that was used on Skylab. These are the last two pair, and they've got the part number on them, but they do not have the serial number on them. Which, if they had lost one of them, these were backup.
Okay. Okay.
That's what they were for.
And I presume one was the right, one was the left.
One's right and one's left. Now this is this is the way it was mounted on the plate, the shoe plate, which is like this. And this is a piece of Florell rubber that's glued to it, and then there was holes all the way around here, and this was actually bolted to the cloth shoe. And when I first started into this program, they had NASA had three spots here that they screwed these on with.
Yeah.
And I asked the people at B. Wilson and Company, I said, well, why don't we build one that's completely adjustable? And I designed this one here and had an electron beam welded. That's
what that is.
That is the first experimental job that was made. And I submitted this to B. Wilson and Company. And he said, well, we'll send it to NASA and see what happens. I said, only on one condition, that I get the contract. So about a month later, well, he called me, he says, you've got it. So I got the contract to build the shoes. And they adopted this, so you can adjust this anywhere, up on the toes, for the bicycle, or wherever you want.
Yeah, I remember that from the Smithsonian. Yeah.
And this is one of the models of the sole and the rubber going together.
So they were made specific for every crew member then?
Every crew member. Now here is a set of patterns for every crew member. And now this is Thornton. His name is on here. This particular size, Thornton left and right. And he had the biggest shoes of all.
So they only went up to size 11 then.
Yeah, but these are all the patterns for all the shoe sizes for the astronauts. And this is Florell rubber, and this Florell they furnished this to me. This is very expensive stuff, At that time, I think it was something like $169 a square
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah.
And they furnished me with this, and I cut them out, cut the shoes out and everything. And then these are parts and pieces that go inside the cleats. There's a Teflon bearing that goes in here. You can see the Teflon bearing.
Yeah.
And there's ball bearings that go in there, and then this veneer that screws in.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the nuts that goes in the slide.
Mm-hmm.
And this is some of the ball bearings that was left out of the original lot that was ordered.
Very impressive.
That's about the. Here's the veneer, the way it came. I left one intact in the box. That's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 3 of those in each one of the cleats, but I had this stuff kicking around, Doc, and you know.
Hey, I understand.
I'm moving, and I don't want to move it.
Tell me how you wound up working for Hamilton, and from there on,
I
got involved
worked-
with this. In
I
fact,
worked-
why don't you have a seat? This is
Okay.
a lot easier. Yeah.
I worked at Malk Laboratories in Dayton, Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
and we were building the first spacesuit,
Mm-hmm.
one of the first ones in the country for the chamber out at Wright-Patterson.
Right.
And while I was working for Malk was a very tall German engineer that got out of Germany just ahead of
Yeah.
the war. Anyway, he was a dyed-in-the-wool Nazi.
Hmm.
You know, the saber scar, the whole
Yeah,
9 yards.
yeah.
And anyway, he came to this country, and he was a very ingenious man. He had an awful lot of patents, but he was working in the aerospace program. So
Mhm.
I went to work for him, which I didn't like him, but I went to work for him, and I worked for him for a while. And then Dr. Vail was connected to the suit program at Wright-Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
And I put the word out to Dr. Vail and a few of the people out at Wright-Patterson. I wanted into the suit program somewhere,
Yeah.
but I wanted out of Malk's. That's basically what I was trying to do. Well,
Mm-hmm.
about 6 o'clock one evening, I got a phone call from Dr. Vail, and he asked me if I wanted to go to work in Connecticut. And I said, where in the hell is Connecticut?
Yeah.
Anyway, we talked for a while, and my kids were all sitting around the table. I remember this very clearly, eating ice cream. We had an ice cream sundae. All the kids were there, and they was tired of Meadowdale. We wanted out anyhow.
Mhm.
So anyway, I said, well, what is this? And he said, well, it's a chance to go to work in the spacesuit program at Hamilton Standard in Windsor Locks, Connecticut. And I said, hold on a second. And I repeated the question to the kids and the wife, and yes, let's go. You know, everybody said yes. So I went back I got back on the phone with Dr. Vail, and I told him, I said, yes, I'm interested. Yeah. He said, well, if you want an interview, he said, we'll fly you up there. And so they flew me up here, and we had an interview. And I still have all of the documents and everything. Erskine Harvey interviewed me, and a number of people interviewed me, and they offered me a job about a week or so later, and I came here on the 1st of July in 1964. I came to, and Hamilton moved me up here. And I went to work at Hamilton, and I worked for 5 years. I worked till 69. And I'd done all of the experimental work for the suit program for the Tiger suit. I filed about 42 patents while I was with Hamilton, and a few of my own patents, but these were patents on the bump hat and the suit joints. And I have some of the original prints with me here that of the suit joints and stuff that I worked on. It was never built. And
How come?
well, money, budget, and stuff like that. And we I pioneered the development of the Apollo helmet, and we had a meeting one time about the helmet. Garavana was there, Erskine Harvey, Andy Hoffman, Bob Breeding. We were all at this meeting, and I made a remark that I could build a helmet with a the helmet would be fixed, and the visor would be large enough so that the man could turn his head and see, getting away from this tremendous bearing load on moving the helmet with a man's neck, with the power of human power, in other words. And I remember Mr. Garavana says, can you build this helmet? And I says, yeah, I can build this helmet. And I built it in 5.5 days. Wow. and we tested that helmet it was supposed to be tested at 3 psi, and they tested it at 5 psi, and it worked perfectly. And that canceled the old helmet program, which they'd already put $250,000 in. And then Hamilton started developing this new helmet, the one that they use now, with the visors on the outside and everything. And that's one of those things. I took a vacuum forming, not a vacuum forming piece, it was a compressor, and I melted acrylic plastic, heated it in a mold in an oven, which they moved into my lab out in the bioscience area, and we blew the first visor up, which we got beautiful clarity out of it. And that was the first helmet that I built. I have the blueprint that Andy Hoffman, he was responsible for the helmet program at that time, and he gave me the dimensions on a piece of paper, which I treasure, of the width, the neck ring size, the height of the helmet, and the width of the helmet. And he gave me this information, and that's what I built the first helmet to. And it was one of those yellow pads, you know, like the kids use in school. He just drew a helmet on it, put some dimensions on it, and he said, "There's your blueprint." And then I built a lot of the backpack parts, the belly pack for bob breeding, experimental units. We would just build something on the spur of the moment. I had the advantage where you didn't have to go all through the paperwork of the company. The guy could come in and say, "I want you to build me this. This is what I want," and give me some sketches on it, and I would just build it. I'm an engineering model maker, and that's the way it happened. But it was some wonderful years that I worked here and worked on the aerospace program. I appreciated working on it. Lots of fun. Got to meet the astronauts. I went down to NASA, and I took head molds of Conrad. These are plaster molds, you know, the bandage that you use, that you bandage an arm up with. And I made head molds for these.
So how would you do that? They put what, Vaseline or something over their face, and then you just wrap sheets?
We put a mold release on it, and then I think there was a skull cap that they wore over their hair. But we literally made a mold, a solid mold, and then took it apart. And then I put it back together when I got it back here and formed a head mold of these astronauts. And that's when we was building bump hats and stuff. I had 4 or 5 patents on bump hats, and that's went inside the helmet. And then we built so many things that you can't recall all of them. But it was a very interesting trip, if you will.
How did you decide to move on to when Skylab came along and leave the company finally?
Well, I decided to leave the company because I wanted to hang a shingle out on my own. And I formed Jamarco in 1967. And I was operating Jamarco on the side from 67 to 69. And there was a tightening of the purse strings at Hamilton in 1969, and rather than cost somebody a job, I elected to just quit. Almost cost me a divorce over it.
Oh boy!
Because I just up and quit a very good job and went on my own. And then I built models of the KC 735 command aircraft with a rotor in the tail, you know, in the tail section. I built models of that for the Washington demonstration, and we built an awful lot of models. My background before I came here was wind tunnel models. We built wind tunnel models of the Boeing 707, the first DC-9 high T-tail. We built models of that, wind tunnel models. We built models for England, the F-104, the 105, the Boeing 707, the Vertol 107, the twin-rotor helicopter. We built a model of that, and tremendous amount of models that we built in Dayton for the wind tunnel experiment. And then from there on, I come to Hamilton from Dayton, and then in '69, I hung my own shingle out, and I folded my company up about 4 years ago. I had moved it out to the Cape. And I was still building an awful lot of models. actually I built a lot of rocket models and feasibility and bolt-up models for the ICBM program, the hydrazine program for Hamilton. And Jim Ferreira was a purchasing agent. He got me an awful lot of work in that line. But that's about the sum total of it.
How'd you wind up meeting Walter Cronkite?
I never met Walter Cronkite.
You mentioned something on the phone.
Well, Walter Cronkite, B. Wilson and Company wanted me to build a set of cleats so that they could give them to Walter Cronkite because he collects space memorabilia. And I told him, I said, no way, this guy's got more money than I got. I said, no, if you want to buy a set of these cleats, fine, I'll build an extra set of, but no way. So anyway, they paid me for them, and I built them, and they gave him a set of cleats. Now, he has a set of cleats like this that are finished, I believe, that have never flown, never gone up. And this was specifically requested by someone, I don't know who, somebody up in the upper echelons, I suppose, but they requested that they give Walter a set of these cleats. And but that's...
Did they leave all this stuff up on Skylab, or
all of this stuff burned up when Skylab come home?
So they never took it back for mission?
No. No, the stuff that went up on Skylab, it all burned up when they come back in.
I would think at least the guys would bring back their shoes.
Well, I don't know. The weight was a real serious problem up there. And I think I'm not sure, but I think when Skylab went up, all of this stuff was on the lab. It went up with the lab. They might have taken it up later, I don't know, but I thought it went up with the lab when they assembled the lab. These cleats were used in the walls of the lab. It had the grid construction, the grid aluminum structure that you stick the cleat in and turn your foot 15 degrees, and you can lock yourself on the side walls anywhere. In fact, the matter, I understand that if the guys wanted to go to sleep, they just put their shoes on and they lock themselves in place so they wouldn't float around loose. But only regret is that I never got to go into space. That would have been a fantastic thing. That would have been fantastic.
Maybe you could have been one of the first engineers to go up,
I'm really not an engineer. I'm a high school dropout.
Yeah, but look all you've accomplished.
And
look at all of these super duper people with all this training who haven't even, come 1/8 of the way to develop something that was so important to us.
Well, that's true, but still, I wish I'd have had the education. Of course, there again, if I'd have had the education, I wouldn't have been in the channels that I was operating in, and I couldn't have done it. But I'd have been an engineer in some large corporation somewhere, I suppose, if I'd have had the education. But it's been an interesting trip for me. It really has. It's been an interesting trip. I worked on some things that I worked on the Alvin submarine also. I built the battery covers and the mounting brackets for the battery plugs for the Alvin submarine. I did that while I was out on the Cape. So I'm one of the few people that's worked as far down as they. That was before they went out to find the Titanic. And I'm one of the few people that's worked in both ends of it.
We were just talking the other day about how we tested all of our equipment in these local pools here. And there's just something very interesting about the relationship that we see on Earth, because up to then you didn't have all the cameras and the visibility that you have now on shuttle. I mean, now you can't even sneeze on the shuttle without having CNN do live coverage. And looking at the 1970 pictures of us testing models of spacesuits over the past couple of weekends, because we're transferring them from 16 millimeter onto video now. It still looks great. It looks as great as the testing that we do at NASA now in McDonnell Douglas. And even in Walt Disney World, when they opened it, they had a pseudo-astronaut come and cut the ribbon with Mickey Mouse. And there's always been that novelty of below and above. For some reason, we can't seem to get things right straight on Earth. But the other two planes, yes, there's always going to be that great stuff. The finding of the Titanic probably was another great thing. That's It's just now. Did they actually have the astronauts come and just send you old shoes, or did you measure the feet? How did you get the patterns on that?
Now, B. Wilson and Company. B. Wilson and Company originated these. Now, at the time they originated these, Dave Jennings was working as a general manager, I believe, for B. Wilson and Company, and he was instrumental in in doing all of this. These are the prints. Actually, this is a blueprint. You could call it a blueprint or a pattern of the shoes. I don't know which one this is. It's probably that one right there. But I had to make these, and then there was these were threaded. Then were bolts went through here. These were countersunk, and then bolts went through and threaded into the aluminum, and the material was sandwiched between the two of them. The cloth material, the tennis shoes type material. Now the only one other thing, Dr. Wick, I could do is I could make some copies of these pictures.
I'd appreciate that.
If you wanted copies of these, I can make copies of these pictures, and on all of the, you see, B. Wilson and Company was the company that provided. Oh, here it is. Here's the prints. This print is a shoe assembly portable foot restraint, you see. This is actually, with these blueprints, you can make a set of shoes.
All right.
These are all of the information and everything that went into making of the shoes is on these prints. Now, these were drawn by Gurkha Kormeyer, approved by Kormeyer. A.C. Morris. This was in '72 that this was okay. But anyhow, these prints are these are the purchasing request and all that's needed to produce the shoes. And I have all of the information on the pieces that went into it. Now, here is a list. I thought this might be interesting. Portable foot restraints for as follows. These are all of the astronauts. This is the original. That's one of the original. We built a lot of different ones until we come up with a sliding arrangement. And when I come up with a sliding arrangement, I said, well, I'll pay for half of it, and you pay for half of it, and we'll send it to NASA and see. But I get the contract. That's when we sent it in.
How'd you get the idea for doing the sliding arrangement as opposed to a fixed?
I'm a mechanical person, I guess you'd call me, but I'm trying to do something different, accomplish the same thing, but making it so it's completely adjustable. That's what I was trying to do. And I'd done a lot of work for Bird Electron Beam at the time, and they built that first sample for me. Ed Loasso says, well, yeah, we'd be glad to weld it for you. So I've done it up and welded it, or they welded it for me. But this is actually all of the astronauts that were listed that went up on that was going to go up on the lab. These were all of the ones that we had to make shoes for.
A lot more than probably went. I'll have to go and check my lists out.
I really don't know how many went, but these were the shoes that all of the shoes that we made. Now, all of these blueprints and stuff here was stuff that this is a veneer. This is, I showed you that little veneer a moment ago. This is a veneer that we made, or that we ordered. We bought this from American Quality Industries in Plainville, Connecticut. And, but all these blueprints, if you'd have only got a hold of me 3 months ago.
I didn't even know you existed 3 months ago.
I had all of the blueprints from Hamilton on the suit program. I had all these. I had drawers and file cabinets full of them.
You would be surprised what got thrown out in the past year. If it wasn't for Ken Thomas, there'd be nothing left of Hamilton's heritage.
Well, it was there's even all of the certs on the stock is in here, and there's an awfully lot of. Here's the zipper. I was working on. You had that zipper over there. Well, this is a print on the zipper modification for for the suit enclosure. Now this is a water-cooled suit that I had a patent on a water-cooled suit here at Hamilton. I got that in July. I filed that in July, I think, in '64. And Welston and Company built the first. They built the. They had the contract from Hamilton to build this water-cooled suit. Now this is a manifold that connected the parts for it. There's an awfully lot of this stuff in here. This is a wrist seal. And the helmet seal, that's all out of Teflon. This is a waist seal. I built all of this stuff for Welston and Company. And then there's a captive suit frame assembly. This was a shop print.
Well worn.
Yeah. But I'm sure with the information that you have at Hamilton that you can tie all of these prints together.
What's this that we're coming up to here?
That's a Hamilton. That's a Hamilton print, I believe. Yeah, it's an SV. That's a helmet.
Helmet.
Neck ring. Yeah, this is a helmet neck ring. I think this is the ILC. This is a cross section of it right here. I think this is the old ILC helmet. I'm not sure. Waist retaining ring. Well, goes on and on.
Looks like we'll have a lot of fun going through all of this. Something good. The Physiology of Flight.
Have you ever seen this book?
No, I never have. I know it exists, though.
I'll tell you what. Dr. Vale gave me this book when I was starting to work on the suit, the tiger suit. He gave me this book to read, and I read it. And this is, you know Mal Frost? You ever hear of Mal Frost?
I've heard his name.
Okay, Mal Frost is probably, you can find him in Kennebunkport, Maine.
Kennebunkport.
His father was a lawyer in New York, and they owned 80 acres on the coast up there with 4 big houses, $40 million operation. And anyway, Mal Frost worked here as an engineer, and this is him and testing all these various suits in here. Now there's no mention of, wait a minute, approximate location of Iconium. This is the helmet I built. That's the helmet I built. I'm almost certain of that. Because this is bolted in around the sides here, glued and bolted in.
Mel was your model, your test model?
Well, he was one of the 3 or 4 fellows that, that was the same size. There was 3 of them, I believe. Well, it was Mal Frost and I can't think of the Ed. The name escapes me now.
What's that?
This is the Hamilton Standard Integrated Maneuvering Life Support System. This was the old belly pack.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen this or not.
I've just seen a picture of the belly pack. And obviously the things have changed a lot.
Oh yeah, they changed an awful lot. This was a propellant tank. But anyway, this is one of the things that that Hamilton put out way back then when it was building the life support system.
Look at that. From 67 to 76. Wow. It seems like eternity ago, doesn't it?
Yeah.
On the Skylab experiments.
This is August in '72. This was all the experiments that. But anyway, this is something I have. I have saved a few things, Dr. Wick, for myself. That
Yeah,
have
I
made
don't
a lot
blame
of
you.
personal
I don't blame you.
accomplishments, and I'm sorry I never did get. That helmet is still in existence somewhere. Nobody threw that helmet out. I'm certain of that. The original helmet that was built. It's got to be around here
It
somewhere.
wouldn't have an 001 serial number on it, would it?
There was no serial number on it at all.
Because, I should really show you a photo someday that Mr. Breeding gave me 1 year, what he claimed was the very first Hamilton helmet.
That's it. I built the first helmet for
But
Hamilton.
what I'll do is send you some pictures so you can actually see whether or not that is what
I'll tell you how you can identify that helmet. There's little slotted 440 stainless steel screws bolting that helmet together. The screws are all about that far apart all the way around. Now they're covered with paint, but they're on that original
I'll have
helmet.
to go and look. Because I have that in my living room in Jersey at home on a stand.
Oh, you have a helmet?
Yeah, because but I don't know if it's that one, because Bob was very, very proud of this, and it was just something happened where he thought that, people aren't feeling well, and he said to me, I'd really like you to have it. I want you to enjoy this now.
Yeah.
Promise never to sell it. And I said, fine, as long as I'm alive, it'll be there. What my heirs do at some point is another story. And because he used to keep it in a case in his study. And this was he was very, very proud of this. And that's why it'd be interesting to send you the photos and see if that was the one.
I have it's out in the car. I didn't bring it in. I didn't figure it would be pertinent to bring it in. It's a compliment that Breeding passed on to me. He says, Jim, at the top of it says, looks good. And put his initials down. Now, one thing Bob never did do is pass out compliments to anyone. He was just one of these gruff people that didn't do it. He was like a big teddy bear, though.
That's
He was
right.
a real nice fellow. Bob and I got along fine. But he gave me this, and I've saved that all these years.
I don't blame you.
I've saved that all these years.
That's what he looks like now, by the way. You see him next to me in the little white shirt. In fact, we were just talking about, we went to the gun show this past week, and someone commented how old he looked, and I said, I thought he really looked good, considering.
How old is Bob now?
Bob is probably, since we talked about Medicare, he must be 65 now. 64.
Bob's younger than I am.
Probably.
He's younger than I am then. I'm 67.
You're 67?
I'm 67 years old, yeah.
You're in good shape for 67.
Oh, yeah, I'm in excellent shape. I'm still working. I'm still working. I'm going to open up another business when I get to North Carolina.
What is it going to be again? Models or
Engineering
something?
model shop, yeah.
I'll tell you.
I'm going to do consulting work and special work and stuff like that. But, it's been a nice ride for me. It's been a nice ride for me.
Ride ain't over.
I enjoyed doing what I've done. I've done all these various things, built all this stuff, worked on the Alvin submarine, and worked on the aerospace program.
However, I have a collection of good photographs. This is my master pile, and when did you come aboard?
64. 30
What,
years ago.
what time in '64? Do you remember?
July. I drove across the Windsor Lock Bridge on the July the 4th.
Okay.
My wife like to die. She was ready to leave me right then.
That's how we all felt, I think, coming
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
And I worked until 69. By the way, is John Kobosky still around?
No, John is no longer with us.
Is he still
No,
alive?
He retired about 8 years ago, and he passed away, I think, about 4.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
My God.
John had a host of information.
Oh, I know,
God,
I know.
Now, Dave Jennings, is he still around?
I think he is. I'm trying to track him down. I hear he is.
You know Joe Corinzo?
No.
Joe Corenzo is a purchasing agent at Norton, I believe.
Okay.
And he had an awful lot of work. Jim Ferreira. You know Jim Ferreira?
Nope.
Jim Ferreira was purchasing agent at Hamilton.
Okay, hold on.
Jim Ferreira and Lyle Kate, you know him? He works over here in Granby at...
Actually,
Track him down.
okay, now Joe Corenzo,
he was purchasing agent at Hamilton.
okay, he went to Norton?
He went to Norton. That's the last I heard. See, Joe Corenzo was instrumental in getting me the Apollo training, the contract for the backpacks, the training backpacks.
Yep.
He was instrumental in getting me that contract in my own company at Jamarco Incorporated. And the Hamilton, there was some politics in all companies. The people didn't want to give me the contract because I wasn't big enough. Mm-hmm. And I just started my company in '67. And this was, what, 72, somewhere along in there. Anyway, Joe was instrumental in splitting the contract apart and just giving me 2 units at a time because they couldn't give you a contract that was worth more than the worth of your company.
Oh.
It was the technicality that...
Okay, Jim Ferreira.
Jim Ferreira was a purchasing agent at that time, too.
Where is he now?
I don't know where Jim is now.
Okay, Lyle Cake?
Lyle Kate was working in Granby, the last I heard, for this turbine company over here, next to Kurt's Diecraft. I think
Okay.
it's the old Delta company, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that it is.
Okay.
Now, Joe Corenzo got me the contract on the backpacks. Then right after that happened, Nixon stood up and canceled the damn program, and I lost my ass.
You can't trust these Republicans.
Okay, in September of 1964, there appears to have been 4 things happening in the summer of 1964, okay?
Yeah.
Hamilton contacted B.F. Goodrich
Yeah.
and had B.F. Goodrich create a suit
Yeah.
to show what B.F. Goodrich could do.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the mobility suit.
Yeah.
Second of all, Hamilton contacted David Clark or evaluated
ILC.
a David Clark suit through
Yeah.
NASA.
Yeah.
Okay. Thirdly, we tried patching things up with ILC, which didn't work.
Yeah, that was a
And
problem.
fourthly, we had the in-house project under Dr. Vail.
The tiger suit.
Yep. This is the only picture of an unmodified, unpictured mobility suit we have. It shows the upper torso. The mobility suit got used later as the play suit. But anyway, this is
I remember this suit.
like,
Who is that astronaut? Or not the astronaut, but who is the guy testing that?
I have no idea.
That's not Mel Frost, is it? Was this done at Hamilton?
Yes, this was taken in Hamilton.
It looks like yeah. Ed Brennan was another astronaut.
Okay.
Not an astronaut, but he was the test subject for Apollo,
Okay.
for Hamilton Standard. Ed Brennan.
Okay.
He should be still here.
I don't know, but we'll track it down. Okay.
And Mal Frost was also a...
Let's see what I got here.
These are all Hamilton photographs. That's Mal Frost
Okay.
in the suit. Jack Kelly. You know Jack Kelly?
Yes. Yes.
Yep, I do. Yeah.
That's an ILC suit with a Hamilton backpack.
Yeah. This is the helmet that I built, I believe. The original.
It may be. Matter of fact, I got a picture of it. I'll show you. Anyway.
The hell with it all. Anyway, this is, I saved this, I don't know what for really, but
Okay. The first Tiger suit was also called by NASA the AX-5H. It was also, Hamilton had an in-house designation of XT1. I assume X was experimental, T for Tiger. Okay, good. That's the first time I've been able to nail that one down for sure. It appears we made, I know we made at least 5.
5 suits.
Okay.
We made 5 suits, yeah.
Okay,
John Kobowski built every damn one of those.
okay,
Him and his girls.
okay. This is the first one. It has leather boots. It has, well, I'll get into the torso details in just a minute. Immediately following that, we evaluated a David Clark
Yeah.
LinkNet suit.
I remember the LinkNet suit.
Do you know how we got that suit, whether it came from NASA or whether it came from David Clark?
That suit came through NASA, I believe.
Okay.
Now, wait a minute, this helmet.
It's a David Clark helmet.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a help. At the same time, we had in September of 1964 Air Force come in and visit, and we had, that's where the mold
Yeah.
program began.
I built the exit and re-entry vehicle for the wind tunnel for that, for
Oh,
the Gemini.
okay, I've got pictures of that, not here, but I have
Yeah.
pictures of that. This is the XT2.
Yeah.
The XT1 had the same lower torso assembly, except that it had fewer convolutes,
Yeah.
and had the same upper torso assembly as far as I can tell. The difference being fewer convolutes and the life support connectors being different. Does that sound right?
I remember Dr. Vale and I changing the tension on these cables.
Okay.
I remember that, but
Okay. No, I'm groping for it.
yeah.
Okay. At the same time, in a parallel effort, we had evidently ordered in the summer of '64 a A4H type suit for the mole program. It was delivered, it appears, in January of 1965. We then modified it for a retrofit program where we fitted Tiger type arms to it. Does that mean anything to you?
No, that at that point in time, I was working on the experimental belly pack for Bob, you know, and the belly. Remember the belly pack? Do you
No,
know?
I have no
You haven't seen
information about the belly pack at all.
Oh, he's got the information
I'll
on that.
show that to you. I remember that.
He's got the belly pack was a hard ring, and all of the instruments was right here with the thrusters and everything for the extravehicular stuff.
There it is.
That's it. Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you do.
We have that. Oh, I did. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
you
further
didn't,
on.
you didn't
yeah.
call it a belly pack
No.
in your...
Okay. That's 1968 time frame. But anyway, back in 65. Okay. We don't have any pictures of the XT3. There is a paper trail. This is the XT4.
Yeah.
The XT3 evidently was upgraded to the XT4 configuration. I think the XT4 configuration had, let me flip ahead here for just a second, okay, pressure boots with convoluted ankle joints like the A5H and XT5. Does that sound?
I got away from the suit program in the Dr. Vale. This all went into the Wilson and Company built the first 2 suits,
Okay.
and this was I'm trying to remember now. That's when Jennings broke away from Hamilton and went to ILC to be general manager down there.
Oh, really?
Dave Jennings, when they was building the water-cooled suit and the space suits, they built 2 space suits in a back room there. B. Wilson and Company brought Jennings down there to be general manager and to handle this suit program.
Okay.
And I had done a lot of work for B. Wilson and Company before then, but He also brought me in to make an awful lot of the waist rings, the helmet seals, connectors, and but Dave Jennings was working for him at that time, I believe.
This is the fifth and last Tiger suit. It was called almost exclusively the Galvin suit. Does that Galvin mean anything to you?
Was this made for a man named Galvin?
No, there were two Galvins floating around, we understand. One was a medical doctor, and the other was an engineer. Okay. Hey, I'm fishing. Okay.
That's it.
Okay, this is the first helmet that was made under the Tiger program.
That's mine.
Okay.
I built that first helmet.
Okay.
I have the original blueprint that Andy Hoffman gave me to build that, and he's got the height, the width, and the neck ring size. That's all he gave me, and it's on a yellow piece of paper with his name on it. And you know, I built this visor right out in the biomedical lab.
Okay.
I asked for a stove. They brought me a big stove with an oven, where I could get it up to.
It appears that you made two of these.
I made 5 of them.
5.
There's 5 of them I made. Yeah.
Okay.
I made 5 of them. The first 5 helmets was made. They tested the first one at 3 psi, and then they jacked it up to 5 psi, and it held without any problems. So.
Okay, because I know where 2 of them. I have trails on 2 of them. Okay, there were 5.
There were 5 of them made. Yes.
Okay. This was the next helmet that I found that we made. This was called the half bubble. It was also called the AX6H.
Now that one I don't remember. I think they made that one in the lab. I didn't make that helmet.
Okay.
The bubble helmet.
Okay. Then we made a full polycarbonate bubble helmet. This one was called the NASA prototype helmet. It had a visor assembly that snapped off and snapped on. The fiberglass shell is what provided the grasp to hold the...
Had patents
45.
with Hamilton
That's decent.
while I was here.
Okay.
That was in 5 years.
B.F. Goodrich fabricated the A5H suits for Hamilton.
Yeah.
This happens to be, I believe, A5H 037. This thing got turned around. It got given EVA type hardware. The TMGs were made, from what I see of paper trail, by David Clark Company.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that?
No, I never got into any of the contracting things.
Hey, I'm fishing for it here.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay, this is what the final torso assembly design looked like. I've seen this torso assembly, the AX6H torso. It's been cannibalized. The neck ring is missing, and the cover garment's missing, which is why you can see all the details, and it looks just like that. We also made A6H gloves with finger lights.
I'm going to show you something here.
Oh ho! Okay.
Now these are heat exchangers,
Okay.
and this is made out of brass. I made this whole configuration. This was an experimental job for B. Wilson and Company, but it was funded by Hamilton.
Okay, but it was a heated glove?
This was this was a heated glove, or a cool glove actually. This is a cool glove. This was picking rocks up on the moon. 240
Maybe
degrees.
we should dig it out again and use it on the...
See, one of my patents at Hamilton was a water-cooled suit inside the water-cooled garment inside the suit, and that was in early '60.
Okay, I've got information on that. That in there.
And,
the patent, as it was finally done, listed Jennings. Okay, I've got a copy of it.
I'm listed and written up in a New York paper on that. I have the original patent on the water-cooled suit. Now, there was a lot of modifications went on after that.
Well, as it finally got approved in 1966, I've got a copy.
Okay, well that would be Jennings. That would be Jennings when he was with Wilson, I believe.
Okay.
Because the first Jennings was working on the water-cooled suit, and they were working for race drivers, for the traffic cops in the middle of a hot intersection and so forth. And they wanted to put this on a race car, and the Daytona 500. But anyway, the original suit configuration that I designed was, expanded metal is, where you expand the metal. Well, it was built in a triangular configuration, every other one tied together so that one suit fit everybody. And that's was one of my patents. I was just looking at the patent the other day on it. But that was a patent that was issued. I filed that in '64.
Yes.
And it was probably late '64, early '65 that patent was granted.
No, actually it was granted in 1966. I have a copy of it.
Was it '66?
Yep.
Was it granted to me?
No, it was granted to...
Oh no, I'm talking about my patent.
Okay, well the
It
liquid...
was granted to me. James H. Hopper's written right on the bottom of it.
Okay, well I can show you what we have,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Which it was finally the liquid cooling garment,
Yeah.
okay?
I know Jennings was working on one at the same time,
Okay.
and but I filed a patent. That was the first job that Erskine Harvey gave me when I come to work in Hamilton. And a month later, I filed a patent on it.
Okay.
And I don't have that information with me right now, the dates and everything, but I was written up in the New York Times on that water-cooled suit. And yeah, it changed considerably from what I had originally filed, but there was no other name on that patent on the original water-cooled garment. That was mine.
Okay. This is the A6H torso. It has some more features associated with it, including medical injection ports and urine collection, all that stuff. This is the A5H, A6H helmet as it came out. It was very similar to the Tiger in that it gave you you could look literally straight up. It was a slightly different shape, and it had the brackets for the
Bracket
EVA
for the
visor,
visors, yeah.
which permitted you to, the visor assembly snapped on, and then the hood went over that. And
You had 3 visors with that?
2.
2?
An opaque and a sunscreen. The A6H configuration had a snap-on rubber seal flotation device and covers to keep water from getting in the suit, so that you could literally be unsinkable, and the astronaut's head would always be face up, which is another thing that was kind of interesting. In December of 1965, in October, as soon as Hamilton found out that we had lost the Apollo contract, Hamilton initiated 2 things immediately. Evidently, they placed an order with B.F. Goodrich to design the best concept they could come up with for a suit for the mole program. The neat thing about this is this baby here has arm bearings, pressure sealing arm bearings.
I remember the arm bearings, yeah.
And it has bearings in the gloves,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have arm bearings in the
Now
shoulder.
this had a bearing here, right?
Nope.
Was that the fixed, was still a fixed helmet?
That's a fixed helmet. The one with the bearing and the seal. Let me back up.
Yeah.
In 1963, Hamilton had problems with ILC. Their helmet had cables that attached the neck ring to the.
I remember the cables, yeah.
Attached the helmet to the neck ring. The mounting point here, structural analysis said was inadequate, and Hamilton requested ILC to redesign. ILC refused, and that touched off a big controversy, which ended up in Hamilton designing the universal helmet, which this thing was a bearing, pressure sealing bearing, with a bellows. It had 2 pivot points on the sides, so the helmet could rock
Yeah.
forward
Yeah,
and
I
backwards, and then
remember
it
that
turned
helmet.
on the bearing.
That was a helmet that was actually being used in testing and everything when I started to work on my helmet.
Okay. And then the other helmet that followed that one was the C3, which had a provision, not necessarily used, but it had a provision for a emergency oxygen supply. It had brackets on the back for emergency oxygen supply, which was a 10-minute, 10,000 psi
Yeah.
supply, which was interesting. I'm having to time my I have a meeting at 10 o'clock that I could get in trouble if I don't attend. So
I'll
anyway.
watch for you.
Yeah. The anyway, flipping back to December of 1965. The only thing that reference I've seen two things. I've seen it called the BFG suit and the mold demo suit.
Mold demo. Mold demo rings a bell, and the BF suit, that also rings a bell too.
Okay. Now, we also had, as soon as we got word that we had lost the Apollo contract, Hamilton initiated an activity that was called the play suit. Now this one is rough because it doesn't look like we created formal drawings for it. It looks like we just ran off and did things to a suit. This was originally the BFG mobility suit that was made in 1964 for the Apollo program, but it borrowed parts, if you notice the arm bearing there, for instance, off of the BFG mold demo suit. And it went through like 5 shoulder and 7 waist configuration experiments.
I have one of them, the prints of one of them right here with me.
Okay.
No, Dr. Wick owns them now.
Okay.
There he is.
But anyway, fortunately, every time they tried something out, they photographed it. And so anyway, that's how we know how many were done.
Yeah.
But there was no other paper trail, which was very frustrating because
I bet it was. I bet this was a monumental task.
but anyway, I believe it's in there. I think it was March of 1966 was the last test of the BFG play suit, and we scrambled to create the first cable restraint suit, which was called the delivery suit, which was the XM1A.
Let me get something here. I don't know if you remember this or not.
This is the XM1A restraint assembly.
You put them in order. You should know where they are now, sir.
No. I'll have to send you that, Doc. It's not.
Okay.
It's not here. That's in my own my other personal.
Mine.
But it's a drawing of a cable restraint system for a suit for a shoulder and a hip joint that I filed a patent on. And Leo Desjardins, is he still around?
I've heard his name. I don't
Leo
think he's still around.
Desjardins was program manager for the suit program at that time.
Okay.
And Leo canceled this. He says, not as long as I'm program manager, we ain't building this thing. He didn't believe in it. But it was a Teflon tubing cable, and it worked real well. I built a model of it.
Okay, it was a steel cable with a Teflon sleeve?
No, it was a cloth, a nylon cable.
Okay.
You could use steel. It didn't.
It was those Teflon tubes there with the
No, this
cord?
was internal, built into the suit. This was inside the suit.
Okay. Okay.
And it was a hip joint that was completely recirculating in all directions.
Okay.
You can bend forward, you can bend backwards, you can bend sideways, you could do the splits with a suit pressurized. It was,
Okay.
I thought it was a fantastic idea, and I said, Jesus Christ, these people spend so damn much money on suits already, they wasn't going to spend any more money on building, $50,000 to build an experimental suit. But I was told by Erskine Harvey at the time to see what I could come up with on restraint on hip joints and shoulder joints, and I come up with this idea and done all the plug load tests or engineering on it, if you will, and then I applied for a permission to build the damn thing, and no way. So I still have the prints. I'll by the way, I will send you those prints because it's just my own. Ed Marshall, not Ed Marshall, but John Marshall out in the bio lab drew the drawings for me, and but I will send those in. It is a hip joint that was never built, and a shoulder joint. It's the same principle, but it was done at this time.
Okay. This is a steel cable restraint. Teflon tubes slid into steel tubing to reduce friction. This is the XM1A. This was the foundation of what the mole suits, Hamilton's mole suits, would become. Now this is a single stage. The cable runs from here to the back and forth, and floats around the side, so you have the mobility in any direction. But they did something trickier a little bit later, and I'll mention that.
Is this overlapping convolutes?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is the cover garment for the same suit. This is the XM1A, and it gave you a great deal of mobility.
Is that Jack Kelly?
Certainly
It
is.
That's what I thought.
Yep. Jack was able to give me a lot of information about this particular suit and the
Jack was
program.
one hell of a nice guy. He really was.
Well, Jack came back to Hamilton and finished off his career here.
Oh, did he?
Yep. He
Is he
retired
still-
just a
he's
couple
retired?
months ago.
Oh,
Yes.
did he?
Oh, he's in excellent health, and he's quite a character.
You see him, tell him I said hello.
Okay. I will be seeing him probably. Now, the XM2A was a Hamilton Apollo version of the XM1A. In all respects, it had the single stage. The cable ran from one end to the other. That'll mean more in just a moment.
Have you been in contact with Ray Doot?
Ray who?
Ray Doot?
No.
You gotta be kidding me. Ray Doot ran the space lab
Okay.
after Erskine Harvey left.
Ray Doot.
Ray Doot. He operated the space
Oh,
lab.
DOOT.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ray Doot.
No, I have not.
He lives out on the Cape now.
If you could get me in touch
Oh,
with
yeah,
him.
well, I got his phone number.
Okay.
Oh,
In fact, I talk to him once in a while.
Okay, I'd appreciate it.
Ray Doot operated the space lab when all of this was going on.
Okay.
He was responsible for the whole damn thing.
Okay, I've seen his name countless times.
Yeah.
Okay. The XM2A suit was used for the zero-G parabola test. It was also done for this underwater demonstration to show that the suit could easily be donned and doffed in zero-G.
Yeah.
And this happens to be the folks that were working in the lab at the time of the win, which now this is the XM3A suit as it was originally built. It was the only one of the M suits that had this torso strap restraint. That and the liquid cooling garment port were removed after it was sent to the field for evaluations. It came back and it got removed and it got a new cover garment. And that's all I know about the suit, other than the torso assembly happens to be with us. So this had this is also significant in that it had a two-stage waist joint. This is the XM4A. Let me explain that. You see well, that isn't the greatest picture. Let me find one that shows it. Okay, let me flip ahead, because I want to explain that maybe this one. Okay, the restraint comes down and attaches to a bracket assembly, which in turn goes through the crotch.
Mm-hmm.
Now that has two cord restraints that you could pull up and cause resistance, so that you would bend first in the upper part of
Yeah.
the waist, and then it would continue
Okay,
bending
okay.
so you wouldn't get abrasion. The XM3A, okay, had that style waist joint. And that's about all I know about that suit. The XM4A was the pre-production prototype. As far as I can tell, except for the urine collection port and the pressure relief valve on the legs, there are no differences that I can discern between that and the production model. Also, the XM4A had the fingernail gloves with adjustable finger sizing, which was, this happens to be a prototype glove with a replaceable flange, so you could replace the fabric parts when they wore out, and also replace the bladder easily. We didn't end up doing this when we ended up doing a cemented-on version of this, where you replace the whole glove. This is the first production suit, was the MH5 series. Had a nylon cover garment that replicated a TMG. There were 3 suits made in the series. This was followed by a flight version of it, which was the MH6 suit. This had a full-up TMG with aluminized mylar and fiberglass, Teflon impregnated fiberglass outer cloth in white again. This happens to be the astronaut corps at the time. They were, we cranked up next for the...
That's, these, see, that's Conrad? Is that Conrad?
I don't know, look at the
Third one in from the bottom. Oh, that's Lawyer.
okay. Yeah, let me take that post out of the way.
I made I made a head mold of Conrad down at NASA when he was working on the bump hats, and he's not on there.
Well, this is mold. Conrad was an
Conrad
Apollo.
was Apollo. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Now, we made 15 of these MH7 suits. They were a plain blue cover garment, very simple bubble helmet. This shows the restraint assembly of that style of suit.
You know, all through this suit development, you had a lot of the old M16 pressure suit that they used in the, no, it's the M7 pressure garment that the fighter pilots used.
Okay.
They copied an awful lot of that suit. Of course, Dr. Vail worked on that program.
Yeah,
that's
that's
I
why.
believe.
Okay. Sitting was a major constraint because of the compactness of the Gemini couch.
Yeah.
The last of that series was the MH-8, which was a full flight suit. Went through thermal testing in very late 1968. It was successful. This may have been in production in July of '69 when the program got canceled. There was one suit that was made that at the end of the program was turned over, a completed suit that was turned over to the Air Force. I'm trying to track that down. It might be at the Smithsonian. This happens to be an article on the Apollo version of the M suit. We made 2 of these suits. This one we happen to have. It was featured in Aviation Week and Space Technology, which shows what it could do. The second suit that was built was tested by the Air Force as a high pressure suit, and unfortunately nothing came of that. Now, the IEVA, which was the pre-propellant version, the IMLIS was first of all a non-propulsion suit design. It then got the propulsion pack, which was an attachable, and that's that baby right there. His hands are on the flight controls.
I built for Bob Breeding the first model of this unit with all the components on it. You know, he went out into the model shop at the Hamilton here, and they give him 6 weeks to build it. You know, he says, I got 3 days, and I built this damn thing for him in 3 days. But a model of it, that is a bracket so that you could bolt all the components on it, no cover or anything. It's just so we could get all the little tanks and everything on it and the control.
Well, anyway, this suit is now at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base Museum. It's on display. And we're going to see more of it. We never did get the TMGs built for this. There was a TMG design for it, but unfortunately the program got canceled. This is the SPCA suit. Evidently the Air Force was going to do use of primates in testing or pre-manned flight verification, but before we could put these suits on chimpanzees, we had to make a human version and prove that they didn't do anything that would be hazardous to the primate test subjects, which is why the SPCA was Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and these are all blood pressure and biomed monitoring. The hoses are for blood pressure testing. This is what it looked like pressurized. Do you remember anything about that?
No.
Okay.
I don't remember anything at all about that one.
Okay.
Now, this was in when?
1968-69.
Okay, I left here in '69.
Okay.
And
this ranged from 1968, I think, to April of '69.
Yeah.
Okay, then this is the SX-1, and I'm out of time.
Yeah.
This is the shuttle program. Anyway, all that's there. If you could get me Mr. Root's telephone number, I'd appreciate
will.
it.
I'll call that in to Dr. Rook or you, either
Okay.
one. I think I have your number here
Yes.
at Hamilton. I'll call that in to you when I get back, because I got that. He lives just an arrow shot from me on the
Okay.
Cape. And in fact, I talked to him about 2 months ago. But Ray ran the lab for many years.
Oh yeah, I've seen his name on many pieces of paper.
He was
like, R. Doot. R-D-O-T.
Yeah.
Raymond Doot, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to work for Doot right after Erskine Harvey got canned.
Okay.
I don't know if you know about
No.
Erskine Harvey got canned. It was a political thing. There's an awful lot of politics at Hamilton over the years, believe me.
Nothing ever changed.
And anyway, when Erskine got canned, I worked for Erskine. He hired me, and then I went to work for Ray Doot. And Ray, I got set up in a bioscience lab at a model shop. I had a Bridgeport and a lathe and some nice equipment out there, and I could do work on just about any job that I wanted to work. I had the best job in Hamilton at one time.
Okay.
But I worked on anything I wanted to work on. If I don't want to work on it, I just told Ray I don't want to work on that, and he says, fine, take it somewhere else.
We are going to eventually build an Imless
Oh,
replica.
that's beautiful.
The
You
hard
want to sell
part,
that out?
well, we've got extra legs and arms
Yeah.
from a mole suit, an MH7
Yeah.
suit, because we're cannibalizing an MH7 for parts to restore the XM3A suit,
Yeah.
which leaves us arms and legs, which are the one thing that you'd never be able to replicate in a million years if you're trying to build an Imless.
Yeah.
So anyway, food for thought.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to get to it this year, but
No, I'm setting a shop up down North Carolina.
okay,
I'm moving down there, and I'm going to go back into engineering model work.
okay.
And yes, I'd be interested in looking at it. Things that I had applied, I took that to Ken Duff.
Ken Duff.
Duff. Duff used to be one of the program managers, and we had already gone so far down the line that they couldn't change it, and they didn't want to build it. It was a quick disconnect system for a helmet where when you zipped it up, all the way up, and locked it, and then you just snapped the helmet on, and it was done. You didn't have to do anything else, any movement, and
I think I heard about that, but I haven't.
This is in Enfield, Connecticut.
And failed.
And this is where I opened my shop up in 1969. I hung my shingle out then. That's when I left Hamilton. And this is another machine I built for Curtis 1000. That's a steering gear comparator for South America. And this is a Scoville manufacturing. This is a pinking shears.
Pinking shears.
Yeah. For Scoville manufacturing. And this is a typewriter, a machine that assembles typewriter keys. This was for Ken Leff, a guy out in Summers, and I built this machine for him. This automatically assembles typewriter keys. And this is a hydrazine rocket assembly that for the one of the rockets guidance system. And this is the headgear molds for Natick Labs, the master molds. These are accurate within 3,000ths all over.
Wow.
And this is the shoes. This is Conrad's shoe here. And this is a display of all of the things that went into the shoes for the assembly and everything at different stages of the assembly, and a 6-inch ruler.
You can change that much.
And this is myself assembling the shoes, and this is myself again, and this is Bill Staley, who worked for the telephone company, and he worked part-time for me when I had this contract. And this was an experimental glove that I built for B. Wilson and Company for the Apollo program. I asked these people to build this hip joint, and I was refused. And somehow I applied for a patent on it, and the patent was refused. And about 6 months after I applied for the patent on it, I got a call direct from NASA, which was not supposed to happen. They called me and asked me where this new hip joint was that I had come up with. And I says, they refused to build it here at Hamilton. And I says, you'll have to go through normal channels. And they weren't allowed to call one of the engineers at that time. That was the way things went. And they tried to find out who it was that called me. But anyway, they asked me where the if this joint had ever been built, and it was asking an awful lot of questions about it. And I said, no, it's never been built. And he said, what happened to the prints on it? I said, well, I have the prints in my own possession. He said, well, could we get a copy of them? I said, well, you'd have to get your representative to go through channels to get them. I couldn't get them to you. But that was when I think, I'm not sure, but I think Hamilton was having some problems with NASA. And they were throwing ideas out at that time that would be a detriment to the program. And I think that's one of the reasons why that joint was never built. It was a good joint, and that would have been really simplified the assembly of the suit considerably. But I'll send you those prints that I have. And,
that's a great story.
But it's there's an awful lot of politics back in that area. And did you ever get a hold of Dr. Vail?
No. Ken is working on that.
Hollywood, Florida.
Hollywood, Florida.
Hollywood. And,
isn't that odd? That's where my relatives all settled, in Hollywood, Florida.
Well, Dr. Vail was canned here, and there was another political thing. Dr. Vail was a very outspoken man. He believed in what he was doing, and he let everybody know it. But he was good. He was very good. And of course, he got me my job at Hamilton, and I was a good friend. And we used to have dinner and go out together. But all of a sudden, when he got canned, it hurt him so bad. He never even said goodbye to anybody. He just left. He sold his house in Granby and was gone. And it took me an awful long time to find out where the hell he went. And I finally found out that he went to Hollywood. And one of these days, I'll go down and see him maybe if he's still around. Hell of a horseshoe player. God, he was good.
I'll have to ask my relatives. For all I know, he lived right down the block from them.
He might. But,
small world.
Yeah.
Hollywood, Florida. I'll have to track that lead down, too.
He knew as much about the suit program at Hamilton as any man alive. If you could get a hold of him, he could give you volumes of information. He was one of these guys that had a photographic memory. He can quote numbers on it. He knew what suits were which and when they were done and so forth. And he could give you a host of information on the suit program at Hamilton. But basically, he was brought here from Ray Patterson.
Yeah.
He was brought here to work on the suit program and build a suit program for Hamilton. I know, I was looking through my papers the other day, and I got the comments of all the people that interviewed me at Hamilton. I got this. I don't know how I got a hold of this. I should never have gotten it. But anyway, I got all the comments of the fellows when they interviewed me, and it was interesting though, very interesting. It's like I said before, it's been a great ride, and I've enjoyed myself building things.
Hey, it isn't over yet. You never know.
Hell no, I've got another 10, 15 years to work. And,
Easy.
And I'm in pretty good shape. And I know one year, my wife and I decided we wanted to go bicycle riding in Europe. So I laid everybody off of the company, laid them off. I said, I'm going to be gone for a month and a half. If it's here, if you're available when I come back, fine. But I said, don't depend on anything. I'll hire you back, yes. But I just closed the company up, and my wife and I rode bicycles across Europe. We went from London, England to Lisbon, Portugal.
Wow.
All down through, we went into Switzerland and went back into France, and we went everywhere. Riding, and we'd rent a car, we'd ride the boats, and we enjoyed ourselves. It was a lot of fun.